Hello everyone and welcome to the part 1 of Oracle PeopleSoft Component Interface tutorial. In this video, we will be discussing about the basics of component interface along with a live example. So we'll talk about what component interface is, why is it used, where is it used, what are its attributes, and how is security implemented for PeopleSoft Component Interface. I would also like to mention here that we also have a part 2 of the component interface tutorial for which the link is provided in the description below. So this part 2 will cover some advanced concepts of PeopleSoft component interface. I really recommend you to also go through that video once you are finished with this video. Before we start, let me give you a quick disclaimer about this video. So this video is useful for those people who have a basic idea regarding PeopleSoft, who have worked in PeopleSoft at least at a basic level so that they know what is a PeopleSoft application, what is a PeopleSoft record, field, component, and a page or a search record or a scroll area. If you are familiar with this, then this video is for you. If you think you need more information about these basic topics, then you must visit our YouTube channel and go to the video titled PeopleSoft Basics. That video will give you a complete in-depth idea about these topics. The link to PeopleSoft Basics tutorial is also provided in this video description below. Okay, so now let's move on to the real thing, which is component interface. PeopleSoft Component Interface. Now, the question is, what is a PeopleSoft Component Interface? A component interface is an application programming interface, an API tool, which is used to expose a PeopleSoft component for synchronous access from another application. This other application could be a PeopleSoft application or a non-PeopleSoft application like Java or C++. So now let's talk about PeopleSoft Component Interface uses. A PeopleSoft Component Interface, or CI as we call it in short, is a PeopleSoft tool. Let us say your requirement is to give access to users or some external system to update some fields in a PeopleSoft page. However, the requirement also says that the user who is updating the field or the system, the external system that is updating the PeopleSoft field on the page, that system or that user should not have complete access to all the other fields on the page. In this case, we have two ways to achieve this. Either we can write a program that will run background SQL scripts to update the data on the page, or the other option is to use a component interface. Now, the advantage with component interface is that it will also trigger the underlying people code, the underlying logic, the underlying validations on the different events of that page. Whereas if we use SQL scripts, that will also work, but it will not trigger the inbuilt component level, field record, page level validations. So in this scenario, then we need to make use of a PeopleSoft component interface. Also, there could be some other scenarios where we need to access and update a PeopleSoft field on a page without having to go to that page navigation. In such scenarios also, PeopleSoft component interface is used. That is about the use of PeopleSoft component interface. Now we shall talk about PeopleSoft component interface attributes. The attributes for a component interface are name, keys, properties, collections, and methods. We will discuss each of them in detail with a practical example now. Name. As you can see on the screen, when we create a PeopleSoft component interface, we assign it a name. This name is used to call the CI through PeopleSoft or through non-PeopleSoft application. Next are the keys. Keys. There are three types of keys in a PeopleSoft component interface. These are get keys, find keys, and create keys. Get keys and find keys are based on the search record definition for the underlying component. Means whatever keys are defined as search keys in the underlying record definition, the search record definition for that component, all those will be the get keys and find keys. However, you can also add or remove keys in a component interface using the application designer. On the other hand, the create keys are created for components, only those components that have the add action enabled. Next are properties. There are two types of properties, standard properties and user defined properties. So the standard properties are set using PeopleCode. For example, there's something like the mode, like an interactive mode, get history items, edit history items. These are the properties. User-defined properties are nothing but actually they are the fields on that PeopleSoft component, and they will be displayed in the PeopleSoft application designer. Collections. A collection is a CI property that corresponds to the scroll fields on a PeopleSoft page. You may know that there is something like a scroll on the PeopleSoft page. So the fields on that different scroll levels correspond to collections. You'll also see these collections in detail when we do the second session, the tutorial 2 for PeopleSoft Component Interface. For now, you can also see in this PeopleCode that there are some thing called collections. These fields will be included in the collection part of the PeopleCode for the component interface. Next are methods. There are two types of methods in component interface, standard methods and user-defined methods. Standard methods are find, get, save, and cancel. There is also the method called create, which is only applicable for components that have the add action enabled. User-defined methods are functions which are created using Application Designer. We'll discuss in detail about user-defined methods in our second tutorial, and the link for that is given in the video description. Now, let's get to the real thing, which is to create a sample component interface. I'm sure you're pretty excited about it, as I am. So, the requirement is we have user profile here, and on the user profile, we have the birth country as Argentina. We have the different phone numbers for this person. Now the requirement is that we need to update this birth country and the phone number. But we do not have to provide access to this user to this exact component, to this personal information component, because over here you have a lot of data and we don't want the user to update unnecessarily some data. So now what we have done is we have created a new component. The new component is under PeopleSoft self-service. It's called update phone and birth country. What it does is it takes you to a new custom page where you have your default employee ID and your birth country and your phone number that you wish to update. So on this page, we want that the person should be able to update his birth country. Let's say he wants to update it to Belgium, and also the phone number to something like that. And when he saves it, it should be updated in this component. This is what our requirement is. Now we'll go ahead and create a component interface, a CI for the same. Now we are in the application designer. So we'll start by creating a project. We will save this project as PSL is the convention that I use. So we'll call it PSL underscore CI. Now in this, first thing we have to create is we have to create a CI, a component interface based on the personal data component. So we'll go and search for component interface. Here it will ask for the component name, which is in our case is personal data. Remember that one component interface can be linked to only one component, whereas one component can have multiple component interfaces. Now it asks us if we want to default the properties. We click yes, and this is our component interface ready. On the right side, as you see, it shows all the properties, all the fields. So as of now, we are kind of exposing all the fields for this component. So here we go, the component interface is ready, and I insert that into our component. Now we go to our record that we had created, means the record where we want to trigger this interface. So this is that page where we are updating the birth country and telephone number. We go to its record people code. This is the record, and we go to the save post change. Now what we do is on the component interface, we just drag and drop this people code into the save post change. What this will do is this will insert the code and it will create the component interface code. So this is the code that is automatically generated by the component interface. We'll go through this code one by one. The first thing that we need to update here is the key, which is the employee ID. In our case, as you know, the employee ID will be the employee ID on the page. So the way we update is first we insert this record into our project, and then from there we just drag and drop the field employee ID. So now as you see, the CI code is ready, employee ID has been matched, and next we go to the, so we'll go one by one through this code. First thing first, what we need to do is, this is a default error handling code. So this is where it starts. We define the file log where all the log will be written. We create a session and session PS message mode. Also, this in this session, we have to get the component interface. We provide the name of the component interface, and we write here the name of the object. Now, if somehow we are not able to get it, it could be a security issue or it could be some issue with the component interface, then an error should be displayed that got a component interface failed. Now there are different modes we can initiate for this component interface. Interactive mode, get history items, edit history items, whether we are able to edit it. For this, we'll put the edit history as true. As we saw, we assigned the employee ID from the current component to the CI code. Now, if the CI get fails, then again there is a exception is thrown and it shows an error that get failed. In this case, we are not creating a new CI, means we are not creating a new employee ID. So we are not using the create. Now we are going to set the component interface properties, which are business unit, department ID, job code, disable, checklist, and all that. But as you see here, the asterisk everywhere, we are not really going to update anything here, so we will leave it as it is. The only thing that we are going to update is here, birth country. We'll leave it like this, and the birth country will be the value from the page. Let's write some comments here. So we have updated the birth country. Similarly, we have to find the next thing that we see here are the collections. Collections are nothing but scroll areas on the page. For example, the name type view will have even more. We'll go through them. This is the personal data effective date collection because we'll have multiple effective dates for that personal data. So we have a collection for that. Similarly, NID, national ID. Similarly, address type and personal phone. Now here we are trying to update the phone number. So this is where we'll have to update it over here. Phone updated, something like that we have to write here. That's just the comments for our reference, but this is where the real update will happen. And as you know, the value that we'll assign is coming from the page. So our changes to the CI are actually complete now, and now we are going to test this CI. So as we see here, this person Betty has birth country as Argentina, and the phone numbers are like this. Now we want to update them using our custom component. So this is that custom component, and let's try to update it to Belgium and the phone number to something like 88799, something like this, and try to save it. It shows that this is saved here. Now we will go and see whether this has been updated in the main update personal data component. As you see here on the personal data component, the country is changed to birth country is changed to Belgium, and under the contract information, the phone number is changed to 415-351-8899. This is exactly the information that we sent here. So from here, it is clear that the user is able to go to this custom component and enter the phone number and the birth country, and the values are updated directly into the component interface. That is our main objective. That was our main objective. Now we will go through some more details about this whole requirement. So one of the things that we'll do now is CI testing. I have opened this test, the CI that we had created. On the right side, what you do is you do a right click and click test component interface. What happens is below, if you see there, it opens a new application. You click that. This is called a component interface tester, and this is where we can enter and check how to test the data for our component interface. So here we enter the employee ID that we were discussing earlier, and then we do get existing, and we get the data for that particular employee. Similarly, like we are looking on the front end screen, same thing here. So that means we are able to do the get for the component interface. Let's see if we are able to do a find. There you go. We are able to also find that particular user here, and then it shows the exact same data. So this was about component interface testing. So in order to verify the validations that happen on the component, let's go to the component and try to save this phone number as some invalid number, like adding a hash here. So now we are trying to add a phone number with an invalid number like hash in the main component, and let's see how it saves. So here, as you see, the number is not saved with a warning invalid phone number. Now, because we are using a CI on this page, so we also want that if we are saving this page and we have an invalid phone number, same error should be triggered. But you see here, the same warning is triggered from here as well as here. Invalid phone number. Phone number should contain only number, space, or specified character, special characters. So what this means is that because we are using CI, so we are able to provide the same validations for the phone number and the birth country without actually allowing the user to access the main component. So that was our objective. Now we'll look at the security for PeopleSoft Component Interface. So every PeopleSoft Component Interface requires a security using a permission list. As we know that in PeopleSoft, security is governed by permission list and roles, and the roles are attached to users. So here we have actually attached the security for this permission list for this component interface to the permission list PTPT1000. Here you see there's a tab called component interfaces below. We go there and we see that we have attached the PSL underscore Okay, so we are actually going to attach the PSL underscore personal data component, personal data CI. We save it and we also go to edit and we see the different level of access for the different methods. Over here, there's no access. So as of now, there is no access. We click full access. Okay, we save it. This means is that anybody who has this permission list should be able to access the CI. Now we go back to the user and see if there's an issue in accessing the CI. We try to change the phone number to something else and we save it and we see that there's no issue. But now we'll check another case where the user does not have access to the CI. So we'll see what happens in that case. Start. Now what we have done is we have added this CI, but we have not given any access to the different methods for PTP 2000. So now the user who has access to this permission list goes here and tries to update some data and tries to save it. You are not authorized for this page. What this means is that the user does not have the necessary security to access this page. So this is how security is governed for a CI. If you have come this far, then I'm pretty sure that you have liked this video and you would also like to hear more from us. So if you really like this video, then please like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we will bring you more and more meaningful and important PeopleSoft videos. So see you in the next video. Thank you. Also, do not forget to comment about your opinions, your thoughts about this video. Thank you.